Hey guys, how are you? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing a movie review. This movie is a science fiction thriller from the United States, English language, released in the year 2016, directed by Dan Trachtenberg, and this film is called 10 Cloverfield Lane. So 10 Cloverfield Lane starts off with this woman. She's having relationship problems and she's driving down the highway late one night when she has a car accident. So it's a pretty bad car accident. She's knocked out and she wakes up to find herself in this bunker. Now she's chained to the wall. She has no idea where she is. She thinks she's been kidnapped, and then she's introduced to the guy who's actually taking her, and he says that he saved her life, that she'll be thanking him later because the world has gone to hell and that it's very dangerous outside and people are dying. So basically he is the saviour, but she thinks that he is just crazy. So as the movie goes along, there's more evidence to suggest that maybe this guy is actually telling the truth and that this woman is desperately trying to find out what is going on so that she can contact her family, but she's just not sure whether or not this guy is crazy or if he is actually onto something. So as the movie goes along, the actual bunker is shared by another guy who is this younger man, and it really does turn into a psychological battleground where no one can be trusted and nothing is as it seems. So what happens at that point on is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on 10 Cloverfield Lane. Expectation levels were very high. Now, this is said to be a sequel or a runoff from Cloverfield, so for that I was really excited. And number two, I didn't even know this movie existed. The way that the marketing team hid this film was absolutely fantastic, is because I didn't even know it was being made. Then all of a sudden the trailer comes on and I'm just surprised, and I didn't even know that Cloverfield was going to have a follow-on. So for that reason, the expectation levels were very high, but the curiosity was through the roof because there was a lot of uncertainty. I thought the trailer does not show anything, and it just doesn't really give an insight into the way that this movie is going to take place. You don't know the formula, you don't know if it's going to be a generic film or if it's going to be a very inventive film. So I think that they did a great job at gaining the curiosity of the viewer, and that's why I think a lot of people were very excited to see it. So after seeing this movie, I will say that a lot of fans of Cloverfield are going to be disappointed if you think that this is going to be just a rehash of the first film. And I really like the idea that it wasn't a rehash, because it was trying something a lot different. This is not found footage, this is not an action film, this is much more of a psychological horror film, or a thriller, or a character drama based on people who are trying to cope with harsh realities. Basically the end of the world and who we become as people, and it's basically a movie about trust and who you can trust, and do you take people on face value, and how opinions can change. So I really like the fact that this wasn't cashing in off a gimmick. This is not like Final Destination, this is not like Saw, where they've made one film that was very popular and they've just rehashed the same idea, and I think that's very lazy and it's making movies for the wrong reasons. So to come into this, Dan Trachtenberg does a great job at continuing on from Cloverfield, but making something that has a life of its own, and it does show a lot of respect, and that's why I think a lot of people could be disappointed that it isn't like Cloverfield, but a lot of people will appreciate the fact that it is trying to make a life of its own. So this is very deeply psychological, and I actually really like this film for the most part. I thought it was very tense in its atmosphere. I love the fact that it takes place in this bunker. You don't really get an insight into what's happening outside, and I just love the imagination. You use your imagination a lot because the director is forcing you to. You know, you don't have a broad scale of what's going on. You don't know whether or not this guy is insane or he's onto something. And as the movie goes along, there's evidence that slowly suggests that maybe he's onto something, but then there's also evidence that contradicts that, and you think that maybe he's insane. So that unknowing, whether or not he is actually telling the truth or he's insane, it creates a lot of suspense, because you never feel that this main actress, this main female character, you never feel that she's safe. So is she safe in the bunker or is she safe outside? And because you don't know that, you don't have any safety net, and because of that, that's what I think brings true suspense, in that you've got nowhere to hide, you've got nowhere to catch your breath, and I just thought the tension was on a knife edge, and I thought it held my attention from start to finish, and for that I really appreciate it, because it's much more of a mature sort of horror film. It actually felt like something of Alfred Hitchcock, where it was very slow burning and it just creeps under your skin very quietly and very slowly, but very surely. And I just thought that the performances from the actors was fantastic. I can't recall who was the younger guy in the bunker, but Winstead, Elizabeth Winstead, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think she was from the Thing remake. Ever since I saw that remake, I've really liked this actress. I think she does a fantastic job in this film. She really is the one who doesn't know. I really felt for her situation. You felt that she was a good person, but you never know if she is actually safe or if she is in danger. And I just think it would have been a lot easier if she was in danger, because you know what she has to do, or if she was safe, you know what she has to do. But not knowing where she is safe, because she doesn't know what to do, you don't know what to do as a viewer. But the person who really steals the show was John Goodman. Now this guy shows how good he can act. I thought he was paranoid, but at the same time it felt like, okay, this is a good guy. You felt that, okay, he's a conspiracy theorist, he's just a nut job, he's very dangerous, and then he has very tender, loving care moments. So it's just all that conflicting thoughts and emotions that create such an unnerving atmosphere, and I thought atmospherically it was absolutely fantastic. The overall setting of the bunker was very claustrophobic. It felt like they were being suffocated of the air, and I just thought the overall, the overwhelming net of uncertainty just keeps you gripped. And I thought the script was very good. It was funny in some parts, it was very disturbing in other parts, and I really like the way that this film actually looked. Now, the soundtrack doesn't play a big part in the film. In fact, I can't recall the soundtrack very much at all, so it doesn't dictate when you should be feeling a certain emotion. I thought the suspenseful set pieces were very, very well done, especially towards the end. I thought that, it really kicks up a gear, and it really does, it keeps you on, as I said, it keeps you on a knife edge, it keeps you on the edge of your seat, and you don't know how it's going to unfold. So uncertainty brings suspense, and I thought suspense was very well sustained, and it does show you that this director really knows what he's doing in this genre. My problem with the movie is that I think it gets a little bit silly in the last quarter, or the last, say, 20 to 15 minutes. I think it gets a little bit silly, and it felt like it was kind of a different film, and it doesn't derail it, but I just thought it contradicted the very mature mood that the first three quarters had, and it kind of goes down a standard sort of generic science fiction horror film, and that I really didn't like that area of it, and I thought it would have been a lot better if it stayed true to the mood that the first three quarters had, and because the last quarter doesn't really do the film any favours, and it doesn't do it justice, because it actually is a very well made movie, and it's got a lot of tension, but that tension is released through the silly moments in the last three quarters. So that was my only big problem with 10 Cloverfield Lane, in otherwise what was a very impressive film, and it's a movie that I would highly recommend to anyone out there who is a fan of your psychological thriller horror, with a lot of character drama in it. It's a movie about coping with stressful situations. It's a movie about trusting someone and the psychological battleground that a catastrophic event can have. So overall, for 10 Cloverfield Lane, it was impressive. I thought the last three quarters hurts it to some extent, but I'm still going to be recommending it, and as a result of that, I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Next, thank you for watching movies, and I'll see you later.